The Premier League title race took an interesting twist this weekend. Arsenal obviously lost Aston Villa, which we talked about yesterday, but one of the big stories we also wanted to talk about was Liverpool's defeat to Crystal Palace. When we partnered that or coupled that alongside a somewhat unexpected defeat to Atalanta in the Europa League knockout rounds, it gives the impression that Liverpool's season might be slowly coming to an end prematurely. You obviously watched this game, you took in the match. What did you think of it? It was a 1-0 win for Crystal Palace deserved. Did Liverpool deserve more than they got from it? Or, let's know what you thought of the game itself.
Yeah, it was a fascinating game. At half-time, you just said that Liverpool were lucky to only be 1-0 down. Villa missed quite a lot of Crystal Palace missed a lot of good chances. In the second half as well, Liverpool had loads of chances themselves. Jota missed a glaring chance when I think it was Tyrell Mitchell made a fantastic block, and Liverpool probably should have won it on the basis of the second half. But even then, I mean, Alisson's pulled off a world-class save from Mateta as well. So Liverpool was right at the races, I think. A couple of their key performers didn't have good games. People look at Virgil van Dijk slipping and they could draw parallels to Steven Gerrard, but ultimately Andy Robertson got back and saved his teammate. But I mean, Mohamed Salah's not been at it for a number of weeks now, and I think it was a fatal blow in their bid to win the title. You've seen Jurgen Klopp at full time in his post-match duties, and he seems so deflated. You talk about being burnt out, and obviously, leaving at the end of the season. You can understand why, maybe after the emotions he went through during that game. I don't think anybody would have had Crystal Palace down to win that game. And it seems since Liverpool lost that crazy game to Manchester United in the FA Cup, their season's kind of imploded a little bit. I think Klopp actually said post-match that that's been a mental factor, that game, on the performances ever since. So it's not looking great in terms of kind of the farewell tour. It was kind of framed that for Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, I think if you actually look over the last 10 match days in the Premier League, Liverpool have conceded as many goals as Arsenal and Manchester City combined. I had a look at the Transfermarkt website before we came on air here to check a really handy table that we have on the Premier League page, which shows how many times teams have gone behind in the league this year. And Ben, one thing that really stood out to me was that Arsenal are sitting bottom of that table or top, whichever way you want to look at it, with just 9 deficits. Second place is Manchester City with 13. And then in joint third place with Newcastle and Aston Villa are Liverpool. And then when you actually kind of calculate how many points each team have dropped from losing positions this season, Manchester City are 15th. Are first with 15 points dropped. Arsenal are second with 19 points dropped, and then Liverpool are third with 21 points dropped. And then there's a huge kind of drop off because the next team's actually Tottenham, who have dropped 32 points. So these 3 teams very much in a league of their own, and by just about any stats. But also, when you look at just about any stat, it also seems to show Liverpool third, some degree behind both Manchester City and Liverpool and Arsenal. Do you think that's just a case of what's happening here, where, of course, teams are no team's going to finish the season undefeated unless you guess you're Leverkusen in the Bundesliga, but to drop points like they did at the weekend is quite common, unless, of course, you have 2 teams like Arsenal, Manchester City, who are just kind of setting a remarkable standard. Arguably, Manchester City more so right now after Arsenal's own defeat the weekend. But how should we contextualise this? I guess the question I'm trying to ask here, is this a case of Liverpool, the wheels falling off at Liverpool, or is it just a case they can't keep up with Manchester City?
Well, to be honest, I think Liverpool have been overachieving a lot with their actual team this season, and I've thought for a long time that they are the third best team out of the title contenders. I think for a long time results have been papering over performances. You look back at that Nottingham Forest game with the 99th minute Darwin Núñez winner, even the Brighton home game recently where they were 1-0 down, could have been 2-0 down, even going all the way back to the reverse fixture against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park when they were losing the game. Jordan Ayew got very controversially sent off, and then Harvey Elliott wins it in stoppage time there. I think there's only so long you can keep winning games in the last minute and getting away with it. People say that's how you win titles, winning when you're not at your best, but I think it's hard to consistently perform that. And I'm not particularly surprised that they have started to drop some points now. Obviously, 3 games without a win in all competitions now. Just 1 point from 2 games in the Premier League right now is a disaster with the pace that's being set. Obviously, Arsenal did slip up again this weekend as well, and Man City are very much in the driving seat now. A lot of people expect them to win every game till the end of the season. and it looks like they might retain the title and win an unprecedented fourth title. But for me, I think Liverpool have got a lot to do, and Arsenal to come back from here in the title race.
Yeah, Ewan, when we look at Liverpool's remaining fixtures in the Premier League, there's a lot there that could cause a lot of problems. They've got Fulham away, West Ham away, two very good teams, Tottenham at home, who actually have to play all three of the big sides actually before the end of the season. Aston Villa away, who, as we saw this weekend, are no pushovers by any means. And then Wolves at home. Now, I have the table in front of me of the league table since the start of 2024, and it currently has Manchester City on 33 points, Arsenal on 31, and then Liverpool on 29 points. So a 4-point gap between Liverpool and the pace that Man City have set. My question for you is, after those 5 remaining games, do you think that gap's going to get wider, or do you think Liverpool can shorten the gap and get back into this title race?
Yeah, I completely like what Ben alluded to earlier. I think Manchester City will win all the remaining games if they need to. I mean, they might drop points in the last game if they've already wrapped the title up, but I think every season this happens, doesn't it? There's a title race, especially last season, and then when it comes to the business end, City just, up the gears, and they've got an incredible squad. They've got a manager who's relentless. He knows what he's doing. The winning mentality you cannot question this Manchester City side. And yeah, I think I can see Liverpool drop some points. It's going to be a really underwhelming end to the season for Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. A couple of weeks ago, people were talking about a quadruple. They've also been knocked out in the FA Cup. They're on the verge of going out of the Europa League. Their title prospects have taken a massive hit in the last couple of weeks as well. So people were talking about this massive party in Dublin for the Europa League final for Liverpool, but that's not going to happen unless they pull off a miracle in Italy on Thursday night. So for all the talk about this amazing end to the season for Liverpool, it's going to end in a real kind of downbeat mode, and it's probably quite sad for Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool fans. He's been an unbelievable manager there. What he's done in that budget's incredible, and he's had some great nights and some famous trophy wins, obviously ending their 30-year wait for a title and win the Champions League. But I think if he looks back over his tenure, there'll definitely be some regrets that he's perhaps not won as many trophies as he should have.
Yeah, well, you guys can let us know in the comments below. Do you agree with Ewan that you think the title race is more or less over for Liverpool? Do you think there could be further twists in the tail for both Arsenal and Manchester City to let Jurgen Klopp's side back in? And also, let us know what you think of Klopp's legacy if he does finish the season without any trophies. Comment below, like the video if you enjoy it, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already done so, and until next time, we'll speak to you soon.